Welcome, everyone, to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James P. Madonna. I'm with my co-host, Damien the Dissenter Owens, the master of the third eye, Owens. And it is Sunday already, and we're ready for a really deep, hard-hitting, revealing show combining Polly Dix, progressive Polly Dix, and bashing right-wing Polly Dix. I know it sounds like Polly Dent, but it's politics. Tick is the right word. Tick, as in parasitic bloodsucker. And combined with mysticism, the occult, divination, clairvoyance, whatever you want to call it. Now, how are you doing compared to your difficult past month, I would say?
Well, I have noticed that my voice is getting stronger again. Um, I've noticed a lot more. I'm clearing up more stuff out of my chest and also out of my throat. So I can tell slowly I'm getting better, but at this point, no one needs to be jeopardizing their health just for the common good or just because they say it saves lives. I mean, I've never understood the concept of jeopardizing lives to save lives. That's really and honestly made like no sense to me whatsoever. And I can honestly say that I feel like I've dodged a bullet, and it's now time that other people start dodging the bullet as well. Because if we don't, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get any better. They're just going to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And the more people acquiesce to this problem, the more it's just going to keep getting worse. Acquiescence is the problem here, and it is the main issue. And whenever we go into the tarot later on, I'm going to show you some of the things that have been popping up that are kind of alarming, but at the same time kind of good. Because here recently there was a tarot card reading that I did. I think it was I want to say last Sunday or the Sunday before last, and here's what it said: September or October is when the shit is going to hit the fan. Now, how's it going to hit the fan? The New World Order will finally make itself known, and it will be the ugliest beast to ever come to this planet. Whenever it reveals itself, there will be those who serve it and there will be those who fight against it, but it won't last long. I can tell you right now, it will not last long.
Well, I think we've been lied to for decades, but now they're now the with the help of with the encouragement of the oligarch, our so-called and I use the term very loosely, public servants are more in your face about their lies. So now it's very obvious that we have been lied to, but the people are very, how should I say, gullible, naive, pusillanimous, pipsqueak, pigeon-livered cowards that they're not willing to call out these politicians and for what they really are. A bunch of sleazebags, like people like Mitch McConnell, who are pretty much in your face about their evil intentions. And the Americans really are cowards about standing up for their constitutional rights and just revealing the truth, the proven hard facts to people that keep on twisting reality. They're spin doctors, and the American people are afraid to call them out on all the bullshit that's been going on, all the flip-flopping. What I wanted to mention, based on the title of the show, is how despicable the American people are in embracing. They're still embracing establishment politics. They're still embracing capitalism. They're still embracing the corrupt two-party system that is paid off and controlled by the oligarch, because they overwhelmingly supported Joe Biden in the primaries. Okay, and the legions of people who attended Bernie Sanders rallies and donated to, and he made a lot of money, donated to his campaign, totally turned their back on Bernie Sanders, and they went with the centrist corporate whore. I would say corporatist, but I want to be a little more venomous in my words. Corporate whore, establishment Joe Biden, because the American people still think that capitalism is the best and this is God's country, and socialism is demonized and it's bad, because they believe all the right-wing propaganda against the real truth, which is that capitalism has only worked for the top 1 or 2% since day one. And it never really elevated the bottom 98%. I think it's only 10% of the general population ever saw their standard of living become upwardly mobile. Have the only elevation that has ever took place with the little guy has been about 10%, and that was in a very popular textbook that my late co-host was reading, and he showed it to me, and he read from the book, and very few people have been upwardly mobile. So these fools get suckered into thinking that, we can't have single payer health care, Medicare for all, because how are we going to pay for it? Oh, we can't have public universities, free public university education. Duh, how are we going to pay for it? Well, I got news for you. The rich, the very rich, the multi-billionaires have been on a tax vacation for decades since Ronald Reagan arranged it that way. That's how we're going to pay for it. Okay, not by putting the burden on the middle class. Okay, we got Ronnie S. that just joined us from
Mhm.
Clearwater, Florida. Good
Hello,
evening,
hello. What's up, Damien? What's up, James?
good evening, Ronnie S. So, you know, this
Can
is
we change the shape of the boxes?
why the vertical box makes you a little
I'm
noisy.
like, yeah, I don't like to be like so huge there.
You don't want to be huge. Well, the only reason, well, as more people join, then I do that.
There you go. Yeah, that's nice.
I do that. Yeah, yeah. It's only when it's like me and Damien. Now the thing is, I couldn't get over. They overwhelmingly went for Joe Biden, knowing how he voted years ago as a senator, knowing all the things that came out of his mouth over the years, and they still went for him instead of a person they can trust who is
Who went for him?
honest. Well, in the primaries, and they
Yeah, it was total. Biden. I mean, not Biden. Sanders was really the front runner, and kind of Biden was like him. They were both kind of neck and neck. Then all of a sudden, all those guys, Buttigieg and Klobuchar, all of a sudden they dropped out and started endorsing Biden. That was a coup. That was a coup against Sanders because
Well-
they didn't want him going too far.
I think there's a DNC coup. That's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a DNC coup. That's what I mean.
What's his name? Tom Perez, the scrawny bucktooth geek, Tom Perez, and before 2016 there was Deborah Wasser cunt shits. They have to take.
I'm not sure who those people are, but I
Well,
know what happened this year was definitely all these candidates dropped out at the exact same time. It was within like 2 days, and they all endorsed Biden. Even Tulsi Gabbard ended up endorsing Biden,
Right.
which was a big disappointment.
And Elizabeth Warren.
She stayed in the race and she kept talking shit about Biden. I mean, about Sanders. About Sanders.
Yeah, but playing the feminist card, the misogynist.
But she was the only one who stuck around for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
They were all in that together against Sanders, for sure.
But Warren did not. When the press, when the media asked her, who are you going to support? She wouldn't give a straight answer. But she eventually had to drop out because people got sick and tired of her whining. And Klobuchar was also a feminist whiner, also. But they did drop out. All of a sudden.
So was Buttigieg. Yeah, there was like that billionaire guy, whoever the hell that was.
Tom Steyer.
Bloomberg was another freaking joke.
Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Bloomberg. Oh, the yellow brick road.
But it was about to be Trump versus Sanders. That's true, man. It really was about to be that. But then the DNC said, "Nah, we don't want that. We want to put Biden." I mean, I think Biden was a freaking horrible
what's her name?
choice.
Deborah Wasserman Schultz, Congresswoman from Florida, was in charge of the DNC in 2016, and she said in an interview, "Of course, the DNC rigs things." So what? She said, so what? Well, I always knew the oligarch or the NWO.
Yeah, it's not very well hidden at all.
Yeah, it's in your face now. I know they control the DNC, but then again, I know that the people like Mitch McConnell are paid off too.
Of course, of course.
It's a broke system. The system is so.
But James, what do you think about Sanders? He had so many followers. Like I think you guys are both followers of these Bernie Bros. I mean, I think he kind of is letting everybody down with the shit that he's doing.
He did let everybody down. He had massive amounts of people at his rallies. He raised so much money from the little guy that everybody was shocked at how many millions he raised.
And he's just giving in. So I'm going to endorse Biden now and make some lame speech at the convention. And what does Sanders really stand for?
He capitulated. He stands for pretty much a system like they have in Scandinavia that works for the 90.
It doesn't sound like it right now with him endorsing Biden.
He did the same thing. He's doing the same thing with Biden that he did with Hillary.
That he did with Clinton. Yeah, he did it. He did it 2 times, man. And you can't give this guy a third chance.
No,
like, 2 strikes are out, man.
This is why. Well, these are earplugs. This is why I call him Raisin Balls Sanders.
Yeah.
He's now Raisin Balls Sanders because
he wants to be everybody's friend. He wanted to be friends with Elizabeth Warren when she was calling him a sexist pig.
Yeah,
All this garbage.
why can't we be friends? Why can't like the song?
Yeah, I think he wasn't a fighter. He didn't have the fight in him.
Yeah, you could tell. But even when he was arrested back in the early '60s during the Martin Luther King March, he looked like a little geek. Like when the cops were dragging him off. He's not.
I never saw that.
He gets loud in the Senate, but when it comes to campaigning,
He doesn't have it in him,
he
man.
doesn't have it yet.
He wants to be everybody's friend, and he wants to be friends with Joe Biden. He wants to be friends with Elizabeth Warren. When these people are going at him, they were. I mean, Warren was really attacking him, and he wouldn't call her out for it.
Yeah. Now you know who defended him. Believe it or not, Tom Steyer, the billionaire. Tom
Yeah.
Steyer was he sounded very progressive for a billionaire, and some billionaires, if it means really helping the country, they're willing to pay a fair share in income tax.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't really know where this guy Tom Steyer came from or anything.
Well, he's from the Northeast, but he went out to California, and he did make money in fossil fuels at the beginning, and then he left that, and I don't know what he's doing now, but he realizes that the top 1% being on a tax vacation and the middle class getting hammered is not the way to fix the system, and the problem is political parties, unfortunately, they eventually become corrupted, like Jesse Ventura.
I mean, the two-party system is just it's not the answer.
Yeah. Well, the Jesse Ventura says you're not obligated to meet with lobbyists if you don't want to.
What party was Jesse Ventura in?
The reform when he won governor.
When he was the governor, yeah.
Reform.
Or even now.
No, now he's with the Green Party. Before he was with the Reform Party.
Okay. The Reform Party was
H. Ross Perot.
Ross Perot, that's right, yeah. In 92 and 96, he was.
Yeah. Jesse's like he's like a left-wing libertarian. Yeah, libertarians come.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Now, Damien, the dissenter Owens, you were going to aside from the American voter being dumber than a bag of rocks and not being politically savvy, not really knowing what's going on for real.
Well, they're not supposed to be. Not everybody cares about politics the way that maybe we do. The average American just sees what they see on the news or whatever, and they think, oh, like Biden's wearing a mask, so I think that's important. I mean, I don't even know what kind of message they're trying to send.
Well, they watch mainstream. They don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
A lot of people, they just want to watch sports or they want to watch some comedies. They don't really care about this stuff.
They don't listen to the underground media or
right.
Media. They just listen to the mainstream media, and they don't really know. They do.
And I don't blame them for it. I mean, not everybody cares about politics.
Yeah. Like for instance, the other beer and booze shows. A lot of those people have their hobby.
Yeah.
Somebody else might have a hangout about golf, and they just talk about their hobby.
You're not interested in politics. You have an interest. I have an interest, and I guess Damien has an interest.
And also, Ronald Theriot has an interest.
Yeah. Ronald has. Yeah.
He has an interest in what's going on, but he's very well rounded.
Yeah, he's a very, very smart guy.
A lot of people, if you try to have a deep discussion with them, they really have no answer.
They'll shut down.
Yeah, they'll shut down. They're like, I don't know. They'll tell you. Now, Damien has a revelation for the show that he was telling me he's ready to lower the boom, and I'm going to give him the screen.
Okay. So, remember how I said that there was something that we
your audio is super low. Check your mic. Check your mic.
How about?
Yeah, check your mic volume. There you go.
I hear.
Yeah, I hear you.
That? Okay. All right. So, remember that evidence that I said was hiding in plain sight all along, and it had to be like right there in our face, and it was so obvious. And it's like, why did we miss this? but I didn't come to this conclusion right away. I had to do a bit more research. So, since we're still missing the sequences that need to be isolated to prove that COVID 19 is really a new strain of coronavirus, and then we did a little bit more research and found that actually Gates, Fauci, and Soros are all in bed in terms with the vaccine. But if you actually look to see who owns the patents of the coronavirus, they also own not only a patent for the coronavirus.
Yeah, they own a
I'm saying,
patent for
how
the
can you
virus. What is
patent a
that?
virus? Yeah, there's a patent for the virus, and there's also a patent for the vaccine.
I can see it.
Fauci
Yeah, I
and
know. I know
Gates
the
and
vaccine. How do
Soros
they
are
have a
behind it.
patent for the virus? Though?
Now, that's what I'm ready to get to. So that's already strange. But when you go back to the lab in Wuhan, they're tied to an event called Event 201, which happened back in October of 2019. So what happened was there was a drill or a scenario that was run to see what would happen if a real life pandemic on a massive scale would happen. Well, the scenario was ran in the computer. Well, the computer gave a specific result. So now what they decided to do was we're going to take what the computer simulated and we're going to apply that to real life. So the fact that we have a bunk test, we have missing isolated sequences to prove that COVID-19 is really a new coronavirus, and we've seen what happens. This is exactly how everything played out in the Event 201 scenario. So all this was really a hoax all along. It was a drill, but when the vaccine comes out, that's when it's going to be the real fun. Now, when we were talking about how hydroxychloroquine and zinc all are working together in terms of treatment for malaria, autoimmune disease, and now this COVID 19, if you actually look at the name COVID 19, it's an acronym: coronavirus and disease. Okay? So, malaria is a disease. There are autoimmune diseases. Well, this is a virus and disease. So, we all have the common denominator now. And we now see as to why they work in the triangle. Now, since we've now decoded what it means, well, how can it be a virus and a disease at the same time? Well, it can't. That's just it. It can't be both at the same time. So, what they're doing is they're creating chimera viruses in the lab in Wuhan, and they've been creating chimera viruses all throughout the world for
So
many, many years.
not
Hang on, we're just about
just
done. We're just
one
about
question.
done.
Well, who is they that's creating the stuff in Wuhan? Who is that they?
Dr. Fauci. Dr.
Fauci's doing it.
Fauci. Yeah, Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates, they're in on this as
Do you think
well.
the CIA is behind it too?
I've not been looking at, external characters. I've just been looking at the main characters. I'm just following the trail that leads back to them for right now. That's the main thing that I'm looking at. Now, getting back to what I was saying. So, they're creating the chimera viruses. So, when they create the vaccine, and then I've already explained about how big pharma and various manufacturers of this vaccine are going to have blanket immunity to where if someone gets sick or someone gets hurt or someone dies from this, they cannot be sued. They are not liable for this whatsoever. So when that vaccine comes out, that's when the real virus is going to outbreak. So it's going to be a disease when it comes out. So that's the stunning revelation. This that's going on now, this was the drill to prepare us for when it really happens.
Right.
When the vaccine comes out, that's when the real virus is going to outbreak.
Yeah, and I think that they realized how easy it was with this drill. They, I mean, the government overlords said, I mean, this was so easy. All of a sudden, we took everybody's rights away and locked everybody down and told them what to do, and they all accepted it extremely easily. With a couple of dissenters here and there, but not a lot, not a lot of opposition. So I think they probably thought this was easier, worked out way easier than they could have ever imagined.
Yeah, they were even kind of baffled themselves. Like, they didn't put up a fight at all.
There was no fight, no fight at all, man. Right? I do think that they were probably expecting more of a fight, more of something. And once they got a little bit, they kept taking and taking and taking, and nobody was giving them any problem. You know, here and there, people don't want to wear a mask, this and that, but the vast majority of people are just giving into it. You know.
Well, I don't wear a mask. I have a medical exception. I've tried the mask for 3
Yeah, I don't
months.
wear a mask. I don't have a
So-
medical exception, but I just don't do it. I mean, when I go to a store, very, 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 you know, very seldomly do I put it on. I don't have to wear it at work, so I'm not doing it like 8 hours a day. So, but yeah, I do have to put it on to go to the 7-Eleven or whatever.
I
just
don't.
some.
I just show my inhaler and say I can't wear one. I go about my
Well, there
business
you go.
and
You
no
have an
problem.
inhaler. I don't have that. I could look into it and try to be more of a dissenter like you're doing. Maybe I'm being lazy in that respect, but I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to be, but maybe I should. Maybe I should do
mean,
that.
at this point, we're gonna have no choice but to start making scenes and literally start fighting and pushing back. Because if we don't, this is not gonna end. No way. They've
Okay,
gone too
so
far and they pushed too far now.
now we have the election coming up. So a lot of people think this is going to go away once the election happens. As that's being said all over the place, right?
It
Now,
might,
if
might not, depends on
Biden
who
wins, he's saying that there's going to be a nationwide mask mandate. He said that in his platform.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think he'll do this for like a month or two? Like everybody wear a mask, you're forced to wear a mask, and then all of a sudden everything gets better, and the news media says, okay, everything's being good now because Biden did a good job, because they can't do it right away. If Biden wins, the news media is not just going to say it disappeared. Like they have to give him some time, to make it look like he really did something.
He wants to bend the curve down nationwide, and it's going to be temporary, this mandate. But being that,
Yeah.
being
And he'll say, oh, well, I put a mandate in and Trump never did that, so that's why it went away. And then they'll just stop talking about it, and it kind of went away. Now, if Trump wins, what do you think's going to happen with the news media? Then they're just not going to stop talking about it.
the numbers are going to go.
That's what I'm getting.
The numbers going to go up.
Well, they've had control. That's one thing I've been saying since day one. They've had so much control over the tests, so they have so much control over the statistics. So all they got to do is manipulate it here and there, and they can make whatever result they want show. Now,
Right.
in terms of Joe Biden, if he wins, is it going to go away? If Trump wins, is it going to go away? It doesn't matter who wins, because the whole point is the cure has never been part of the agenda of this. Finding the cure and solving the problem and just getting it done over with has never been the priority or the end goal since day one. It's like the war was never meant to be won. It was designed to be.
It was designed to continue.
Perpetual state indefinitely.
Yes. That's what's called the new normal. They keep pushing this new normal thing because they want the new normal isn't just about the corona. It's about a lot of other things that they have planned, right?
Yeah,
and I think all these riots are related to this new normal. They want to break down society and then kind of swoop in. And I'm not exactly sure how it all works together, but new normal. The reason why they keep saying that, it's not to just say, oh, you have to wear a mask. No, man, it's more than that. It's more than that.
Yeah, well, George Soros supposedly was behind the racial instigating.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I saw a video of a white guy paying off young black guys in Minneapolis, and as soon as he handed them the cash, they started rioting. I saw it, and I read articles about George Soros trying to divide Americans up and cause this racial divide.
But he's been doing that for years. George Soros is a bad character.
He was a Nazi originally.
Was he?
Yeah, he's
a Nazi.
He's a Hungarian.
Really?
He's a Hungarian Jew that sold out his own people and turned Nazi. And what he did was he confiscated all the personal belongings of the Jews before they got on the train heading for the concentration camps.
Wow, I didn't know that.
This is what George Soros did as a young man, and he's part of the oligarchy.
Is that how he got rich?
Well,
or did he come from like a rich family or something?
I'm not sure. Like the Rothschilds? No, I'm not sure.
Well, not like the Rothschilds, but
Yeah, the Rothschilds are worth $100 trillion. I mean, but George Soros, if he's an oligarch member now, chances are
well, Soros was in charge of basically the whole Obama presidency, right? He was really the main backer or financer of it, of a lot of it, as far as I understand.
Oh wow. Well, yeah. Oh, Obama was definitely a corporatist.
Right.
He wasn't progressive at all, and neither.
Yeah, and people say that Obamacare was a socialist program. It really wasn't. It was a corporatist program.
No, private insurance companies were involved in Obamacare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It was a compromise. It was
Obama was no socialist, not at all.
No,
Not at all.
it was a compromise between the conservatives and the liberals. You know,
Right.
it wasn't the demise of health insurance companies at all. They were very much involved.
You know what it was the demise of? It was the demise of the small doctors that were, the mom and pop doctor who had his own business.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to deal with the administrative costs anymore, so he had to join a big group like Blue Cross Blue Shield, blah blah blah, and then these big groups like Blue Cross Blue Shield and other ones absorbed all of those doctors into their organization. So it basically was a crutch on small business doctors and dentists.
You're talking about networks, HMO networks.
Yeah,
like the United
So
Health.
so now all Obamacare did was kill all the or kill a lot of the small doctors and make them, whichever one stuck around, join these big networks. So that's not a socialist thing. That's a corporatist thing. That's hurting proprietors and business people who were doing their own thing, that didn't want to join these big networks, but they had to in the long run.
Well, even a walk-in urgent care is like a form of network. It's a clinic.
Yeah, of course it is.
Clinic, and you go in, you walk in, and you have staff.
Who owns these urgent cares? Who owns them?
Well, is it certain?
It's not a small guy.
No, you got you have a whole panel of physicians there that are scheduled.
I can tell you, James, because I'm a public accountant, and when I first started working back in 2011, and there was a lot more small doctors, just who had a small staff, and then I noticed them. They either retired, they said, "Screw this, I can't deal with it," or they had to sell the business. I saw this firsthand once Obamacare got implemented.
Did you know that a chiropractor was only receiving $6 a visit from Medicaid? Because they used to tell me, they said, oh, I dropped Medicaid. I says, yeah, they don't pay for shit. That nobody wants to take it. He says, yeah, they were giving us $6 a visit for chiropractic. Visit.
Well, Medicaid is so corrupt that they actually will pay the say for like a dentist. If a dentist has a patient and they say, well, I'll give you a root canal, a couple of root canals, when they don't really have to, like it's just something small, they get paid more from the government to do the root canals, so that they want to do it, even though the patient doesn't have to pay anything, but they get paid more from Medicaid if they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the problem of government intervention. That's just one example, and that's why I don't prescribe, a socialist answer to any of this stuff, because once the government is getting involved in even these minute things, socialism, I mean, is I can't get behind that, man.
Yeah.
By making the government larger and larger when they're already screwing around as they are.
Yeah, that's you have a right to your opinion. I also think you can't really trust a CEO, the average CEO of a corporation either. So it comes down to the system is shot, it's corrupt, human nature can't be trusted.
Well, human nature is profit motivated.
Yeah.
So if you're giving a business owner a reason to work with the government instead of just being an honest person and going out and doing the right thing, then they're going to work with the government because the government is going to back them up.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to see. Well, Medicare was they stole from Medicare too by doing incorrect billing. The billing and coding.
Of course, the Medicare is a complete piece of garbage since 1965.
What's his name again? Rick Scott.
Rick Scott, the former governor of Florida, right?
Yeah, the one with the dildo-looking head. He told the healthcare industry pretty much in Florida to cheat Medicare and to falsify the billing.
So now, if there was no interrelation between those two things, between the business and between Rick Scott and the government, whatever, whoever it is, there wouldn't be this conflict of interest.
Well, they also want healthcare to be available for everyone as a
Who
right.
wants that?
Well, I'm just saying the left doesn't want a profiteering healthcare system.
Okay, so in any system, somebody's going to profit from it.
It's like, look, a big pharma charging $1,000 a tablet for some, antiviral drug, or what they did with the guy that went to prison, the guy with the smirk that the judge was yelling at. He was in the big pharma industry. He was price gouging. That was it. He was price gouging. I think it might have been an HIV drug or something like that, and other things.
It could have been any number of things. So James, what is your definition of fascism?
Fascism is the definition. The definition in the dictionary is corporate control.
Right. So it's cooperation between the government and big business.
Well,
do we agree on that?
Big business can easily pay off the government if the government has their hands out.
Yeah, they do.
And they do, and they have. That's corruption.
So the system that we're living under, in a sense, is fascism.
Well, fascism is like a modern day imperialism. Like,
it's not all about armies and people kicking up their boots like we think about with the Nazis and with Mussolini. That's not the main definition of fascism.
Let's say we're living in the Middle Ages. The monarchy, the royal family, the Pope, who was really corrupt back then. I mean, that's a form of feudalism. That's a form of.
Well, feudalism is different than fascism.
Well, you have the very wealthy owning everything and controlling everything,
But they weren't really in cahoots with the government, so I don't think you'd say it was.
There was no government per se.
Fascism.
It was just the monarchy that ruled their.
Yeah, it was a way different system. The system ever since about the mid 1800s.
Yeah, like
has been like pushing democracy and since like the revolutions of 1848 around that time.
Now
the formation of Germany and modern times.
The Industrial Revolution.
Right. Yeah, that was a big change.
That's when real corrupt capitalism began with J.P. Morgan, Carnegie.
Yeah. Well, who do you think was behind starting the Federal Reserve? It was Morgan. It was the Carnegies.
Morgan didn't want to go with Nikola Tesla. He went with Thomas Edison because Tesla says, I can tap electricity in the atmosphere, in the ground. I could supply electricity for the whole world for free. And Morgan didn't care for that idea, so he went with Edison. That's why we never heard about Tesla in our history books in school. We heard about Thomas Edison, and that was J.P. Morgan that backed him. But
okay, I didn't know. I never heard of that.
Yeah, they wanted child labor, and this is before the unions. Guys, J.P. Morgan, all of them, and then J.P. Morgan stabbed all his rich buddies in the back because he slowly took over and bought out Carnegie, who controlled the steel industry. Pittsburgh and all that, and then he eventually screwed over his rich friends. Now you see what happens with.
No, he didn't screw them over. They were in a cartel together.
Well,
they were all in a cartel together.
He ended up taking over though.
He was probably the boss of the cartel. You could say that.
Oh yeah, he was the fat cat.
But that cartel are the ones who created the framework of what the Federal Reserve is. And
Yeah.
then they gave this framework to the big shots in Congress, and they implemented it and made it law.
The infamous Federal Reserve. Now, when Damien might know the year, when did we go from a gold-backed currency to a non-gold currency?
It was sometime in the 70s.
It was 71 is when it was called the Nixon shock.
71.
That's when Nixon took us off what was called the Bretton Woods system. Now that wasn't even a full gold standard. That was a semi-gold standard. Bretton Woods started in 1944. Before that, it was more of a gold standard, but it was also kind of taken off being a gold standard back in, I think it was 32, where Roosevelt said that it's illegal for anybody to own gold, and all the private citizens were ordered to hand in their gold to the government.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah,
I know
that's a real thing.
I know he's the one that put Japanese Americans in concentration camps.
Yeah, he did that like a decade later.
He did that, and Truman is the one that dropped the bombs on Hiroshima. And
Truman dropped the bombs. But so the Bretton Woods system was supposed to work like this: that the United States was going to hold all this gold in Fort Knox, and the dollar, the U.S. dollar, was going to be pegged to the gold. So whatever dollars were printed by the Federal Reserve was supposed to be backed up by this gold, and then all the other currencies in the world, the franc, because this is before the euro, so Europe had all their own currencies, and Asia and everybody. So those currencies were then pegged to the U.S. dollar, which was then pegged to gold.
Huh.
And then what happened was with the Vietnam War and with Lyndon Johnson's Great Society domestic spending, they kept printing the Fed, the United States kept printing and printing more and more dollars that were not going to be backed up by this gold anymore. And then what happened was Britain, and it was mainly France, came in and said we want to trade in our U.S. dollars to get gold now, because it was supposed to be backed up by gold. So if anybody went into a government office with dollars, they were supposed to be able to get that back in gold. Even a private citizen could do that. So these foreign countries were saying, okay, we see what you're doing over there. You're spending a lot of money on your domestic programs and on the Vietnam War, and we realize that you're printing way more dollars than you have backed up in gold. They were saying that to themselves. So France came in. Those are the ones that really was like Nixon said, okay, this is too much with France. So it was 71. Nixon said, I'm not going to give you the gold. I'm not going to give it to you, and I'm going to temporarily unpeg the dollar from gold. So basically screwing the rest of the world under the agreement that they had with Bretton Woods. They stole from the rest of the world. That's what they did. And we've been on the same exact system ever since then, which is just now the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, but it's a fiat currency, which means is backed up by nothing. It's just paper, but it's basically backed up by the United States military. That's what backs up the dollar. And so they stole from the rest of the world. They owed these countries gold, and they never paid it to them because they didn't have it.
Yeah, I know there's big banks holding European a great deal of European money. Like Germany wanted its money all in one lump, and the United States didn't wanted to give it to them.
You know something else interesting, James. Since 1971, you can look at any graph. How much the middle class in America has gone down since 1971. Back in those years, you could have a father and a wife that stays at home and with working one job. You can't have that. And you can see in any graph that you look at, the standard of living has gone down. The dollar has completely crumbled since that year.
Well, the Eisenhower during the 1950s, the middle class was prospering tremendously. They were at its peak.
There was a gold standard back then.
Eisenhower.
It was a semi-gold standard.
But Eisenhower, even though he was Republican, he taxed the rich and he gave all the breaks to the middle class, and the middle class was doing really well. They were prospering.
Yeah, but it wasn't sustainable back then. There was a lot of pensions, a lot of state pensions. It wasn't even federal involved. There was a lot of different things like that back in those years because they had the surplus from the war. You know, the United States came out of World War II as the only standing country. Everybody else was destroyed, right? I mean, so that wasn't going to last forever.
Oh, you mean the prosperity of the 50s? It was
Yeah. And then they went into the 60s and they put in Medicaid, and then they spent a ridiculous amount of money in the Vietnam War, which is, I'm sure you realize that was a complete waste.
the Gulf of Tonkin. There was a
The 60s were big spending. They would spend money. That's why by the time Nixon got in, the government was broke.
Vietnam is like going and destroying Iraq. I mean, mass destruction. But why were they in Vietnam anyway?
Why were they in Iraq? It's just
right. Well, the military-industrial complex under Dick Cheney possibly wanted the oil, which is a war crime to take.
They didn't even get the oil. They didn't even get the oil. You know what happened with Iraq? Eventually, the government that was formed there, the biggest contract for oil they got, guess what country they got it with? Guess.
Saudi?
China.
Oh, China.
China was the one that got the biggest oil contract out of Iraq. When we were the idiots that went in there and bombed the shit out of them and took over. China made out.
Yeah, now in China, forget about Chairman Mao's China. I mean, the Chinese have to pay out of pocket for so many things now.
Now I'm not some hater of China. They did it legally. They made a contract with the government of Iraq. But so Bush, everybody says he went in there to get the oil. He didn't. He went in there for no fucking reason. He had no reasoning to be in there. He wasn't getting oil, and that's what Trump talks shit to the Bush family about. He said, "Why'd you go in there for? You didn't even get the oil, right? If you're gonna do something crazy like that, at least take advantage of it."
Yeah, they got nothing from Vietnam. They got nothing from Iraq.
And that's America in a nutshell. They get nothing.
What do we got here? Spit Dragon sound.
Sound. What does that mean?
You don't hear us, Spit Dragon?
Oh, never mind.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay, now.
Well, thanks for watching, Spit Dragon.
Yeah, thanks for watching, Spit Dragon. Now, Damian Owens, let's hear your take on what is said before we have the State of the Union tarot card reading. What is your take on what has been said?
Well, I mean, even fiat currency has value, but instead of it being backed up by a resource like gold, the only reason why it has value is
people
because
trust it. It's trust.
We would,
and it's backed up by the military.
People accept it as a currency. Now, well, even if it's not backed up by nothing, it still has value because we say it does. It becomes just like any other commodity that you have out there. So if you're going to treat money like a commodity, which, on all honesty,
money is not a commodity.
Then of course it has a use value. Well, of course it.
Money is supposed to be a way of buying commodities.
You have to have money in order to survive. Well, it's the commodity that gets commodities. So
it's backed up by trust. It's backed up by we have trust in it. Other people around the world have trust in it. That's what it's backed up by.
Right. Well, you got that, but then yet you also have to deal with supply and demand. I mean, that's what ultimately determines the value. So if we're going to try to bring the value of the dollar back up, and we're not going to back it up with anything, then we're going to have to really shorten the supply to bring the value back up. Because if we don't...
Shorten the supply of dollars?
Yeah, that's essentially what we're going to have to
do. They're never going to do that. All they do is increase the supply.
Well, yeah, if the more money they print and just keep printing and printing and printing, before you know it, $100 is going to be very easy to come by, and it's just going to be like,
right. Exactly.
I can just easily just get a pile of hundreds and just try to go buy a loaf of bread. That's what it's going to be like.
You could point to the easy examples of Weimar Germany or to present-day Venezuela and all that stuff, but you're right. There's no way they're gonna stop printing all these dollars. I mean, just look at what's going on the past 20 years. It's not gonna stop. They're gonna keep going.
My grandparents said about the Great Depression, money was like confetti.
Right.
You know,
Or they always think of the, in the textbook when you're in high school, they have the picture of the guy with the wheelbarrow full of German marks. He goes to buy bread with the wheelbarrow, and then the joke with that was that the wheelbarrow was worth more money than the all the money inside it.
yeah, I love political cartooning. I think
Yeah, I do too. They don't do that anymore. All that
no,
stuff.
they do. I put them all on Progressive Discussions on Facebook.
What do you put?
They still make them. They're hilarious.
Who are they made by?
They're two different cartoonists. I noticed because I could tell the one cartoonist when he does Trump, he gives him these
The big lips,
the big
or the
the-
frog lips, or whatever.
goldfish lips that stick out like a ubangi, you know.
From
the-
it was like 100 years ago, or like even before that. There was the big political cartoonist was Puck. Yeah, that's the one. A lot of the ones that we see in like the history books is Puck. He was a really big doing that.
The cartoonist that portrayed capitalism as a fat guy with a top hat and carrying bags of
Yeah, maybe it might be. Yeah.
like the Monopoly man, but fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was him. Yeah, he portrayed capitalism as being like Chris.
I'm not sure, but Puck was one of the ones that had a lot of, and they were interesting little cartoons where you have to look into it, and there's like little sayings within it that you got to read.
Yeah.
It got very, very involved, which I don't think they really do these days like that anymore.
Well, he's the one that probably made the pyramid with the workers and the common folks at the bottom carrying.
I don't know. I don't know.
In the hierarchy, the
Maybe.
the oligarchy was dressed up in.
Have you heard of Puck, Damien?
I have. Not really heard much, but I know of
But
him.
you've seen like the old cartoon pictures that he put out, like political cartoons.
Ah.
I think
okay.
Puck was actually like Puck was the name of a newspaper. Back in like, I mean, this I'm talking about a long time ago, like late 1800s, early 1900s.
Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar. I think I've seen some of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like to just look at different things to laugh at, because nowadays we all need a good laugh, because if we don't, we're all gonna go insane.
Well, you can get a laugh just from Facebook, man. Just scrolling around, looking at a picture
tell me
of
about it.
looking at a picture of Joe Biden with a fucking mask on. I get a laugh out of that.
Well, that and just where I'm telling people, things are not as they seem, and what do I get called? A product of incest. I get this and that, and I'm just and when they say I'm a product of incest, I'm like, well, at least I know who my mom and dad are.
Why do they say that? Because you're from Tennessee?
That, and just because I'm just so rambunctious and rebellious to what's going on. They're like, oh, you're so stupid. You're the reason why this is going to keep going. It's like Karens and
because
Chads.
you don't want to wear a mask.
Yeah, that, and I'm just like, can y'all obviously not see that this shit is just so fucking fake?
They can't.
Like, for fuck's sake.
They can't see it.
I'm like, to be honest, everything about us is fake. Our people are fake. Our food is fake. Our money is fake. Hell, this is fucking fake.
Yo, you're right, man.
Now, what shocked me is that Anthony Fauci was roommates.
I like that. Yeah, you're right, man.
Roommates with Bill Gates in college.
Fauci was roommates with Bill Gates?
Yeah, that I didn't know.
I had no idea. I know that they're working together now.
No, they were.
All right, so I was talking to somebody else about this earlier. Fauci is out, right? He's not part of the team anymore.
He's on his way out. He's pretty fucking close to getting canned.
I thought he already
Trump
was.
No, there's this new doctor who's been appointed to the team, but he's getting ready to take Fauci's place, probably here in the coming weeks. He's a Stanford doctor who absolutely despises Fauci, and when this guy takes over, he's going to.
And I think he despises masks too, right?
Yeah, when this guy takes over, he's going to blow the lid on everything.
Okay, so I mean, Trump is good on that. At least he's good. He's good on this thing. I'm not saying he's definitely got plenty of problems, but he seems to be okay on the corona bullshit. Trump, would you agree?
Well, when we get to the State of the Union tarot card reading, when I show what they've been showing, we're coming to the point to where it's time to draw the line in the sand, and it's time to go ahead and say what is acceptable and what is not, and just make that line. Because if we don't, it's going to be made for us, and we're not going to like it when it is made for us. So we're either going to go one of two ways. We're either going to go the Biden way, or we're going to be the Trump way. There, in this instance, there's not going to be.
And if we go the Biden way, we got some real problems.
Well, we're going to have problems no matter which way we go. It's just, do we?
No,
want
I'm
these
talking about
problems with
big
this guy or these
big
with that
problems.
guy?
I think there's going to be way bigger problems with Biden. Trump, I mean, this guy is definitely not the best thing for America, but I think comparing him to Biden, I'll take Trump over that fucking guy.
Well, the Democrats are shielding Joe Biden from Donald Trump because I guarantee you, if
Because
Trump
he's an
intends-
old wacko who can't have a debate, especially not with
Can't.
Trump.
he can't even say a sentence. If he
Well,
can't
all
say a
right,
sentence,
I'm going to
how's he
give
even gonna
Biden a
have
little bit of
debate?
credit. I don't know if you watched his speech that he gave at the
Yeah, I
at the end of the DNC thing. I mean, I'm sure there was probably a few takes that they had to do. It was recorded and stuff like that. But for grading it on a Biden scale, I think he did a decent job on that speech.
It'll be all talk, no action. I can see it right now.
Well,
All
of
talk,
course,
no
of
action.
course. Who's going to have the action is Kamala Harris. It's not going to be him.
She
So
she
she
wears the
says.
pants in the family when it comes to that,
I would say so.
that administration. You notice, I think Biden handling the situation with the rioting and looting and Antifa, Black
I mean,
Lives Matter.
okay, so they didn't even mention that. The whole DNC thing. I watched a good amount of it. They never even mentioned any of the rioting.
Reminds me of Bill de Blasio being a pussy in New York.
Yeah.
With the rioting and looting and
It's exactly the same thing. They're in the same camp.
yeah, well, Bill de Blasio has a black wife. Very, very
Well, Harris is not Biden's wife.
no, not even not even mixed race. She's very black.
She's actually okay. She's not African American. She's not. She is the product of an Indian, somebody from the continent of India, and a Jamaican.
Oh, you're talking about Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I'm talking about Kamala Harris.
I'm talking about de Blasio being so.
But okay, but Kamala Harris, her big thing is that she'll be the first African American vice president. She says this all the time.
Female.
She's not even really African American. She's not from Africa. Her family's not from Africa.
She's the first female and woman of color vice president.
I think it's her dad is from India and her mom is from Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's that. Okay, I mean you can take the blood from Jamaica and go all the way back and say that came from Africa. I guess you could say that, but
No,
she's not an African American. She's really not.
Now her mother's. I saw photos. Her mother's Indian. Her father.
Okay, so it's the other way around. Yeah.
But nevertheless, half and half, and it's the same thing with Tiger Woods. He's half Thailand, but they make him. Society makes him African American, but he's half Asian.
Right.
So
the difference between Kamala Harris and Barack Obama in 2008, he never brought up that he was black. Like he would give good speeches, he would talk about different things, but he never just said, "I have all these problems growing up, and you should vote for me because I'm black." Kamala Harris, on the other hand, is basically saying you should vote for her because she's black.
Yeah,
like, she has nothing else to give.
Barack Obama's mother was 100% Caucasian.
I know. He wasn't really, whatever, like black or whatever. But the thing that I'm saying with him, everybody saw that he's basically a black guy. Everybody can see this. His skin color.
Black guy. He's really half white.
Right. But I mean, if you're just looking at his color, what I'm saying is, he never used the color card. I mean, he did it in discreetly, but he never just came out and said it. Where Kamala Harris says it blatantly.
So she wants special treatment. It's in a roundabout way.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, screw that. I'm no fan of special treatment for any lobbying group. You know,
And that's the difference between her and Barack Obama, where he had acumen and he had knowledge, political knowledge, not to just be out front. You know, you can be a little discreet. It's political maneuvering. Like, yeah, I'm the first black guy,
yeah. Well, he has a
but he never just came out and said that.
He's a constitutional professor, I think, or he has a.
No, he's not. He's not a constitutional professor.
He has a degree in constitutional law.
I don't know about that. I mean, that's pretty pathetic if he does,
You know.
because he doesn't. He never followed the Constitution. So,
well, neither does Trump.
no, Trump is definitely not a doctor of the Constitution.
No, he's a monarch.
That's for sure.
He's
Trump is a big spender, man. Trump is a bigger spender than Obama was.
Trump spends.
He loves to spend money.
Trump spends a lot more time on the golf course than Obama did.
I don't care about golf courses. That's stupid talk. But he spends a lot more money than Obama ever did. And the thing is, Rand Paul came out a couple of months ago, and he said that the Republicans owe an apology to Obama for talking about how much money that Obama spent, because once Trump got into office, he was spending more money than Obama was spending. And the Republicans were silent about it. Okay, that's true.
They're protecting him. There was no doubt about it.
They're not just protecting him; they're scared of him. They were a joke.
They don't want him to say bad things on Twitter about. I mean, there are a joke.
He came in and took over that party. If it wasn't for Trump, the Republican Party would be in fractured right now.
The Republican Party is in a state of embarrassment.
And so is the Democrat Party. So but I think basically to your point, the two-party system is broken. I mean, it's been broken for probably since it started, but it's getting bad now.
My international friends tell me how much they joke about the United States and Americans and our politics.
Well, you don't just have to be international. The Americans joke about it too. Nobody fucking cares.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the comedians. They got tons of material now. They got tons of material. Okay. Before you do your tarot card reading, do you have any take on anything, Miss Damien?
Nothing really right now, other than just I've gave what I really had to say in the last show. It's just the American people are just so fed up with all sorts of different bullshit that they want the third way, but they're going to do anything and everything in their power to not get it. So
they want the third way, but they won't step away from the two-party system. It's like they're stuck in that mindset, even though they don't agree with it.
Yeah, but that's why, in all honesty, Trump is going to win, because the American people, they're not going to go for Biden. They're not going to go for the Democrats, because they're the ones who pushed this quarantine, this lockdown,
right?
The masks.
They're going to go for Trump because the Biden team. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I mean, if I was on their team, I would say, what are you guys doing? But you're going to say everybody has to wear a mask? Nobody wants that.
No, and it's costed trillions of dollars, and it's costed millions of jobs, which, in all honesty, may not ever come back. Do what?
I hear him.
No, I can't hear him. He's got
I hear him fine.
Michael Hilton volume. I can't hear him.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
You got to crank it up because you got a tablet.
I hear you fine, man.
I hear you with no problem. You,
all right, let's see.
I mean, Ronnie's mic is real sensitive.
All right, how about that?
That's a lot better.
All right, so looks like I'm going to have to kind of just hold it closer to my mouth. I don't know what is going on with the mic.
Or maybe James has to bring his speaker closer to his ear.
No, I hear you loud and clear, Ronnie. You're I got the big speakers here.
Really? But I can hear Damien too.
Well, what I was getting at is just where millions of jobs have been costed by this, and these millions of jobs are probably never going to be coming back, and how we're having to just bury ourselves in money and debt to get us out of this, the American people are just not going to go for that. That's what the Democrats and what Joe Biden has pushed. And they're just not going to go for it, man. I'm sorry. No matter how you try to spin it, twist it, whatever, they're just not going to go for it.
I hope so. I really hope so. I'm not the biggest fan of Donald Trump at all, but if I'm given the choice, and I'm not sure if I'm going to vote for him, I'm up in the air. Joe Jorgensen is a libertarian candidate. I'm actually a registered libertarian. I'm not so sure about her either. There's a few things there that I don't like, but there's no way in hell I'm voting for Joe Biden.
No.
But and I really don't want to vote for Donald Trump. There's a lot of things about him that I don't like.
I couldn't vote for either one to be in good conscience because I'm a very pro-gun guy, and Trump with the bump stock ban shows, really in all honesty, how he feels about the Second Amendment and where he really stands, because the bump stock ban really lays the groundwork for an eventual backdoor ban of all semi-automatic guns in America. And whether he wants to try to play ignorance or not, but to me, he might be a Republican now, but he's been a staunch Democrat all his life.
Yeah.
He's no more than just your typical New York liberal mafioso type, just like Bloomberg, de Blasio, and all
Yeah.
the rest of them.
Yeah, I could see that. He's a Republican. He does his own thing with Republican tendencies. And what I can point to is that he did the tax break, which is a Republican thing, to cut taxes. He's cutting regulations. That's a Republican thing. So he's doing which he wasn't really in charge of, or he didn't write the tax bill. He didn't know much about it. It's called the Trump tax cut, but he didn't do it. It was the other guy that used to be the Speaker of the House, but then he retired. It was that young guy. What was his name?
Trey Gowdy?
No. It was I was a pretty young. I don't remember, but it was a Republican thing. It was all passed by Republicans. So Trump just changed parties and said he was a Republican, and what else he does is he plays to the culture wars in a very smart way, because there's obviously a huge culture war going on in the United States right now, and he is of the persuasion, at least politically, of saying that that we're not going to break statues. We're not going to stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance and all these other dumb things. And because people like that, people say, "Oh, well, you got to support the troops. The troops, this and then blah blah blah." So Trump's like, "Yeah, I love the troops. Yeah, sure." And it's a show, but he's doing it smart politically. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
You know that
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is on the ballot in New Jersey, believe it or not.
Yeah, Sanders, honestly, James, is a joke. He capitulated, like you said. He gave a speech for Joe Biden. I mean, this guy let his following
I
down.
like him because he's the farthest away from capitalism.
But why is he saying a speech for Joe Biden? Why is he doing that?
Why is he campaigning for Biden if he's on the ballot? Good question. Very good question.
Yeah, right. If he's on the ballot in New Jersey, I don't know other states.
Anyway, Damien is going to. He usually takes a short break. Sometimes bathroom, sometimes not. He does the cards, and then
I'm going to actually take a bathroom break.
Yeah, I'm going to take I got to check on a couple things. But anyway, we'll be back with the State of the Union tarot card reading.
All right. See y'all in a bit.
See you all in a bit.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. No, all right, that's all good. All right, man.
Okay. I want to welcome everyone to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James P. Madonna. Welcome, viewers. You will see the
I'm
mystery
here. I'm just getting ready to shuffle the cards.
of the show. Damien, the dissenter, Owens, the master of the third eye, will give the State of the Union tarot card reading, and then we will have some questions and answers for the copper divining
I got
rods.
a St. Barnabas wit beer.
St. Barnabas, is that a church by you?
You ever had that one? No, St. Wit beer. WIT.
Oh, wit beer.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess that's how you say wheat in.
I like the
I don't know
German
if it's Flemish or it's from Belgium.
Aventinus. Have you ever had Aventinus? Oh yeah, I see you brought that on Wild Card Wednesday. I think.
Yeah, so I think wit means wheat. It's a wheat beer.
Wit beer. Now let's see. Let me just double check something here. Wang, wang, wang.
No, it's higher than that, but it's not a lot. It's 5.5. I don't know. I think it's kind of normal. What is Blue Moon?
Blue Moon. Blue Moon is
I
not.
think that's around like what, like almost 5 probably.
It's not as good as the German wheat beers and the
St. Barnabas wit beer.
St. Barnabas is from
It's from Belgium.
Belgium. Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah, Blue Moon was bought out by
Oh yeah. I got a 4-pack.
was it bought out by Coors or
Yeah, I like it. I like wheat beer though. I know some people don't like wheat beers.
yeah. Well, even the Sam Adams winter beer is a wheat beer. I think I had it
Well, I
once.
wouldn't say it's an unnatural flavor. I think it probably is pretty natural.
Oh, it has a refreshing taste. If you know, as far as it has to be real cold and temperature wise, and if it's hot, very hot outside, I think it has a nice refreshing flavor to it. I know Aventine.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about Bumpy's the
You know,
Flanders one tomorrow?
Never seen Bumpy's show. I have no idea. You mean multi
I
month?
bought one today, so I actually plan to join.
Yeah, he's on tomorrow.
Yeah, I bought one just for that.
Yeah, he's on tomorrow. Never seen it. And then there's the beer and cheese on Tuesday, right? Beer and cheese.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I'll just.
Yeah, who's the guy that does beer and
Oh,
cheese?
does Bumpy have the 10? I guess he has the John subscription too.
I know he has a lot of magnets on his refrigerator behind him. I know that. I've never seen his show.
Alex
Alex, the beer master. I gave up sending him.
Alex bought the subscription.
Alex has
Oh, okay.
Alex has this messy bed in the background every time he's on a video. He's got his. It's like Hugh Hefner. He's got his bed all messed up.
Oh, because he couldn't figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I sent. He told me send him a Google Hangouts message, and I found them, and I sent it to him, and
Yeah.
Nina comes on. Sometimes Nina already comes on. When she's
John actually is the one who bought Alex a laptop or whatever he uses. I remember that. That was like last summer. He did that for him.
He doesn't have a Facebook account, Alex. He doesn't.
Yeah,
have,
because before that, Miscellaneous, you weren't around back then, but you could only see when Alex would go live. You could only see like from his eyes up. You see his head.
Really?
Because I guess he would use his phone. He would use his phone, I guess, and he just exactly, just like that.
Well, that's because he's tilting it that way. I mean, I have no problem. I mean, I could be I could be on a StreamYard with no problem with my new Android, my new Samsung Galaxy, but with the iPhone, it forced me to use Safari, and it wasn't compatible with StreamYard. So
you drinking Twisted Tea?
So anyway, whenever Damien's ready, I will set it up for the cards.
Yeah, your camera is very dark.
Well, I've got everything set up. I'm just going over everything right quick.
Yeah, I have. I have the big light on. I don't want to roast. I don't want to be like I'm being under interrogation at the precinct. Yeah, Alex has come a long way from what he told me. But he doesn't have Facebook. But Nina Yordi doesn't have a Facebook account either. There are some people that just don't. So okay, let me get everything set.
Okay.
No, hold on. Take it away, Damien Owens, tarot card reading.
Okay, so I decided to really go all out with the spread. So we have quite a big one And we're going to go over quite a bit with this spread because there's a lot that needs to be brought out to the forefront, not only for now, but for the future. So here's how I've laid out this spread. So we have the present, then we have not our past, present, future outcome, but we're going to look at it from months. So we have September, October, November, December. We have our connection cards here. Then we're going to go out even further. We're going to go from 2021 to 2025. And then we have connection cards that'll connect the years to see what's in store because what is happening now is very pivotal. This is a very defining moment, not only for our history as a species, for not only the 21st century, but the next 1,000 years is actually what's going to be defined by this. That's why we're going to go all in and see what's in store. Okay, so first, this is the way things are currently right now with the Six of Wands. So with the Six of Wands, there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of conflict still going on, but instead of it just being like how it was earlier, now the turmoil and the conflict is starting to take shape and starting to go in a specific direction, which we're seeing that now. When you turn on the news and then they want to keep spreading all the lies of bullshit they've been spreading about this entire time, just people are not buying it. People, yeah, they're still fighting over things, but it's becoming less and less prominent, and the topics are becoming less and less prominent. Now, it's almost like there's a single topic to be fighting about, but there's still some other things out there, but at least now it's taking shape and it's taking direction instead of just being a whole hodgepodge of this and that. So, definitely a good card and a good sign. All right. So, we have September being represented by the Page of Wands. This has shown up in this position several times here lately. So, September is going to be a very pivotal month, just like now, because what is being shaped and taking place now, what ultimately will happen is what will be shaped in the final form will be in September. So, September is, like I said, another pivotal month, but it's also going to be the make or break month. So this is going to really decide which direction we're going to go. And that can go, like I said, it's either going to go one of two ways. Now, we do have an indicator as to where this is going to go for October being the Emperor. So with the Emperor, even though, people would say this is symbolic of Trump, well, I guess to a point, yeah, you're right. But the Emperor indicates law and order as well as structure, what have you, of society. So October is going to be the next make or break month as to where we're really going to go. But this indicates, as it sits right now, it's going in the Trump direction. Now, November, whatever the ultimate outcome is, it's going to be represented by the Four of Wands, and it's going to be the outcome that is the most desirable. And as it showed with that, it's another indication of Trump is going to win. And the last sign that also indicates he's going to win is here in September, or not September, December, with the Seven of Pentacles. What is ultimately going to hand him the election is the Democrats and the Republicans, they're not going to come to an agreement in terms of what they're going to do for this next round of stimulus. So the fact that we're having to do all of that, and he's having to do all of that on his own, that's what's going to cause him to win because he's actually pushing for more stimulus, not only in terms of stimulus checks that the Democrats and Republicans are proposing for 1,200, he's proposing like 34 to 3,600. So his stimulus package that he passes on his own, that's what's going to win him the election. All right, so now let's look at our connection cards. All right, so this card has shown up several times, the Eight of Cups, and that is being further indicated as to what I was saying. Americans are really going to find where they really stand and how they really feel about certain things. That's when you're going to see them drawing the lines in the sand and saying, this is what's acceptable, this is what is not acceptable. Now, it's going to take the whole month, and it's going to be, like I said, another tumultuous month, but the ultimate outcome is Americans are going to go for Trump. They're not going to go for the Democrats. Now, what's interesting here, our Hangman is back. So, October has been showing different things. Now, what's also being indicated here by the Hangman is the fact that there's going to be the new perspective. There is going to be something that is going to come to the forefront of everything, and it's going to change the whole dynamic of everything. And by other readings that have been happening here recently, it's going to be the New World Order. All the lies, all the deception, everything that has came to this moment is going to be exposed with this. And it's going to be in October, but it's going to probably be mid-October. It's in this transitionary spot. So this is October, this is November. So I'd say mid-October is when it's going to reveal itself. However, this is what is also interesting as the connection between November and December. The Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords has shown up quite a bit here lately. And whenever the Seven of Swords shows up, then it's going to be betrayal and deception. So, what my guess is, Trump and the Republicans are also going to engage in their own betrayal and their own deception, the same as the Democrats, except they're going to win, the Democrats are going to lose. All right, so now we've got the rest of the year covered. Let's see what the following have to show. Let's go here with 2021. All right, so 2021 looks like it's going to be a resolution year and it's going to be a calming year. So 2021, all of the conflict, all of the turmoil, it's going to finally be resolved. Whatever ultimately happens, it's going to be resolved in this year. All right, so 2022. 2022 is going to be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? 2022 is going to definitely be a year of, if I'm trying to describe it in not so simplistic terms, it's going to be a year of where people are going to be very happy and they're also going to be willing to experiment and be more experimental in terms of, you know, should we do this? Should we do that? We're going to see, some would even argue like a another renaissance type thing. So 2022 is going to be a very interesting year. So that's the year I'm really looking forward to. Let's see what happens and what takes shape. All right. So we have 2023. So 2023 is a year that is going to expose Trump for what he really is. He's going to do something here in his second term that, on the surface, is going to make people believe that, he was a good guy and a good choice. But you know him, he does something that you could probably say is good to a point, but then yet he turns right around and ends up fucking it all up. Well, that is what's going to happen in this year. And 2024 is going to be like a fallout year as to what happens in 2023. So, based on this card and this card, it's going to be definitely economical. So my guess is, yeah, there will be a prosperous period, but then yet the hoarding of wealth and the concentration of wealth will go just like it has many, many years before. But this time, the people are really going to be done with it. So in 2024, we're going to see massive economic reform, massive economic restructuring, and the wealth is going to be more spread around, and there's going to be more economic generosity, but it's not going to be coming from the upper class. It's going to be coming from the middle class or the working class. All right, so 2025. 2025 is when Trump and his second term will be done and over with. So when he leaves, people are going to be glad to be rid of him. And 2025 is also going to be another pivotal year because this card is indicating that this is when the fall of the two-party system and the old ways really are going to be on the way out, and something new is going to be coming in. But whatever it is that comes in, it's going to be what the people want. So let's look at our connection cards and then we'll be done. All right, so that is also being shown here with the full card for the connection of 2021 and 2022. So this will be a new beginning. Like I said, a new renaissance. People are going to be more open-minded. They're going to want a fresh start. They're just going to want to just start all over, man. They're just going to be done and over with what happened. But this is going to be the groundwork for what ultimately happens in the coming years. And, well, that shows right there. For 2022 and 2023, the death card. It's not going to be physical death. It's going to be a symbolic death. So these years, this will be when the old starts to die and when it's time for the old to start leaving. All right, now the connection card between 2023 and 2024, being indicated by the Seven of Pentacles. So, where, yeah, there was an economic prosperous period, and then although it was short lived and it seemed like a great idea at first, but then yet, as things always happen, the concentration of that wealth ultimately goes back up to the top. Um, that's when it's just they're going to be done. People are just going to be done and over with this shit. But what's also interesting is, although it did a great thing and ultimately led to a bad thing, there's going to be a third way of looking at it. And they're going to look at this wealth that was created and they're going to say, well, yeah, we did do a great thing, but let's take this great thing and make it better. That's what's ultimately being shown here by the Six of Pentacles, wealth redistribution. All right, so the connection of 2024 and 2025. We have the Empress. So this card is also very indicative of this is when we're going to see humanity coming back together and we're going to see more interconnectedness of the world, but it's going to be in a new way. Yeah, there will be remnants of the old way, particularly like the structure and the technology and things like that, but instead of it being used for evil intent and evil purposes, it's going to be for a more benevolent humanitarian intent. And that's when we're really going to see what's going to happen in the later part of the 2020s. So that's where everything is being shown right now. So we're going through a tough time. Trump is going to win. And at first, it will seem like a good choice. But as they have shown, that good choice is quickly going to turn into a not so great choice. But the end resolution will be what needs to happen. Now, the last point that I'll make before we get done with the reading is threes. How third time is going to be the charm. People voted for Bush twice, they regretted it. People voted for Obama twice, they regretted it. They're going to give Trump that second chance. Well, third time is going to be a charm. Now, the last one is going to be the third coup. there have been 3 coups that have happened within the last 100 years. The first one was the assassination of JFK. That laid the groundwork for this to take place. And then the second coup was 9/11, which basically took this and sped up everything and made it worse. Now, the third coup was when they tried to overthrow Trump with the impeachment, even though there were genuine reasons to impeach him, but those who were doing the impeaching were not doing it for honorable intentions. That's why it failed. But here, this is where the end resolution will resolve itself. The universe and karma, whatever you want to call it, will resolve everything on its own. So, best thing I can say is strap yourself in because we're going to be in for a hell of a ride, not only for the rest of this year, but the upcoming years. So, I hope you all enjoyed this tarot reading. We'll see what it's like for next week's reading. You never know what these things will show next. You really honestly do not.
Okay. That was a great, hard-hitting, deep reading. You've just witnessed that. State of the Union Tarot Card Reading on Progressive Discussions by Damian Owens. Now, I'm gonna bring up Copper Divining Rods. Copper Divining Rods. Will the revelation of the scheme, the great scheme between the oligarch with Bill Gates and others and Dr. Fauci, would it be revealed before the end of 2020 to the general population?
And will that be in either September or October?
Won't be that quick, huh? But it will be before 2021. This revealing of the great oligarch scheme. Okay, and they said that's when they anticipate this vaccine. Now, have they been? When Governor of New Jersey Phil Murphy the other day was speaking, he mentioned the drug Resvenavir, drug treatments. He mentioned a little bit about drug treatments, so they obviously still exist, but we haven't heard anything about drug treatments from the mainstream media. Now, is this obsessive focus on a vaccine done on purpose for profit? Okay, and the lowest COVID-19 numbers in West Africa, because they are using hydroxychloroquine, and they know a lot about malaria. Is it because they have been successful with hydroxychloroquine?
Well, but yeah, when you get a moment, I'm glad you mentioned Africa because there was one thing I forgot to mention about Africa as to what is currently going on, and it ultimately is laying the blueprint for what is going to happen in the rest of the world eventually. So, last show I talked about, what's going on in down there in Australia in the city of Melbourne, where they're under like a very strict lockdown right now, where the city looks like it's under martial law. Well, they're in what? Do what?
Germany had a new recent lockdown too.
Yeah,
COVID.
Well, that's what they say. But there's a more evil intent behind it. So what they intend on doing in the winter is they intend to announce what's called a twindemic. And that's where, we're going to have rampant COVID. Yeah, rampant COVID, but the rampant flu. And they're going to say, oh, the masks aren't working. Nothing is working. We're going to have to just shut everything down until the vaccine comes out. Well, here's the next thing they also intend to do with that. When the vaccine rolls out, it's going to be with what is currently going on in Africa called the Trust Pass. They're not calling it the COVID Pass. They're calling it the Trust Pass. And what it's for is it shows your complete vaccination record. So it's going to have every vaccine and every piece of your medical information that is pertinent with it. And it's also going to have all of your other personal information involved with it as well. It's going to have your name, date of birth, social, banking information, all of that. But they're doing the trial run in Africa as a trust pass to try to modernize Africa or to bring Africa into the modern world to a certain point. But in reality, there's an evil, malicious intent behind it because if they get their way, the COVID pass will be what you need to get a job, to purchase things, because you won't be paying with cash anymore. You'll be paying with your COVID pass. And if you need to get a job, go to a store, fly, travel, what have you, if you don't have the COVID pass, you ain't getting it.
No, it's like what the conspiracy video shows have been talking about, tying this into the mark of the beast in the end times about total control over the human population. Except they mentioned the chip.
Right.
You won't be allowed to do anything without being chipped. And in other words, it's about the evil you're talking about is about total control over humanity, the world population.
Yeah, the final end goal, the perpetual, never-ending totalitarian police state.
Thank you for joining us, Ronnie S. Have a good night. Cheers to you.
Well, I do have a question for the divining rods.
Sure.
So, copper divining rods. With what I said in the tarot card, that something is going to happen in either September or October that is going to change the dynamic of everything. Is that still going to be the case? Okay. Will that dynamic be the New World Order finally exposing itself?
Is Joe
Okay.
Biden and Kamala Harris in cahoots with the New World Order, with the oligarchs' plan? That was Is the DNC in cahoots with the New World Order oligarchs' evil scheme? The DNC was the DNC in 2016 in bed with the oligarch also? Okay. Were the DNC, was the oligarch controlled DNC in 2016 and 2020? Did they deliberately screw over Bernie Sanders before he got too powerful? Was Bernie Sanders sort of forced out, and that's why Sanders has been quiet again?
All right, so copper divining rod. So the tarot card reading that I just recently did, not even 10 minutes ago, was I correct in everything I said? Okay. So yeah, I was spot on with the tarot card reading. How I explained what happened is what's going to happen.
Now, is the mistake, is the big mistake that Bernie Sanders made is to run as a Democrat and not in another party? Yes. So if he would have created a third new People's Socialist Party, it would have been a lot better for Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought so. Does Sanders have this obsession with trying to reform and save the Democrat Party? This foolish idea. Yeah. And does it have to do with what Ronnie S. and myself were talking about, that a lot of liberals are they just want everybody to like them or love them? Yeah. Would you consider that a spineless pussy way to be? Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, so copper divining rods. So, since my tarot card reading was correct, so the New World Order will expose itself, but will it fail from the start? Oh. So, copper divining rods, what you're saying is the New World Order will expose itself, it will try, but it will not take over. It will fail. Okay, so that's a lot off my mind.
Do you think that it's because we, the people, will have many militias ready for action? Yeah. When Joe Biden said to a person who was concerned about the Second Amendment that his guns will do nothing against a modern Air Force fighter jet, so give up trying to go against the government, was Joe Biden just simply siding with the oligarch by that statement? Yeah, obviously Joe Biden never heard of guerrilla warfare or urban warfare.
Obviously not. Okay, well, here's my next one. Okay, so copper divining rods. So there will not be a New World Order ever. Okay, will it try to take over again at a later point in humanity?
Yes. Hold on.
All right, so it'll try at a later point. Will it try again after the year 2025? Okay, will it try to take over again in the next 20 to 30 years? Okay, will it be before the 22nd century? Okay, so looks like it's not going to be till like 2080s or 2090s before it tries again. But let's see. But when it tries to come back again, will it be more stronger and more powerful than what it is now?
Well, are they? I heard in in some videos that they're squabbling amongst the oligarch members of the New World Order. Is that true? Oh, That reminds me, is that similar to J.P. Morgan and the other oligarch people during the Industrial Revolution, screwing each other from behind? Yes. So it has to do with selfishness and greed of human nature then. Yes. Okay, so that's true. So they are fighting amongst each other for power and money. Okay.
Okay. All right. So divining rods. So by the internal fighting among themselves, will that ultimately be what causes their destruction and them not coming to power? Hmm.
So
All right.
they will shoot themselves in both feet, just like capitalism has finally done. Yes or no? Yes.
So in the 21st century, will we see the end of capitalism and the beginning of socialism? Okay. Will that begin to take place either on or after the year 2025? All right. So since you're saying that my tarot card reading was correct, so Trump will be the end of capitalism. He will be capitalism's final death.
Well, he's kind of
Hmm.
the worst that capitalism has to offer. Uh, well, he's the worst that the history of the presidency has to offer. Is Trump is Trump um, mentally disturbed as opposed to being wicked? Yeah, because the top shrinks psychiatrist from, I don't know if she's from Yale University, the Asian woman, she was being interviewed quite a bit, and she psychoanalyzed him, and he's quite a basket case. So
Right.
so the Republican Party, are they protect, despite the fact that they know what he is, and are they protecting him because with the Republicans, it's really all about their party and nothing else? Okay.
All right. So copper divining rods. So will that big shift that I was talking about my tarot card reading, will it involve Trump and a stupid economic decision in 2022 or 2023? Hmm. Will it be the temporary prosperity ultimately leading to the concentration of wealth going back up to the top 1%? Okay. But there will be a brief period of prosperity before the big economic decision that messes everything up. Okay, so in that case, just like what it shows, that, he'll do everything in his power to try to show that, hey, I was a good person, and he'll bring about some prosperity in the beginning, but, that honeymoon phase is going to wear off quick, and that dream's going to quickly turn to a nightmare.
All right. Oh, ooh. Can be a shoulder workout if you hold these up long enough. So I was It's an all-round blockbuster show. What have you done any beer reviews this past weekend?
No, I just had my 3 tall cans of Still Reserve last night, and needless to say, um, I got really drunk, and then I fell asleep at like 7:30, and then when I woke up today, I had a terrible fucking headache. It's like my head was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Throbbing,
Uh-huh. And
like
I was
those
like,
two aliens
well,
on Star Trek with the brains, with the veins in their brain throbbing. Remember them?
yeah. Well, when I drank some water and ate some food, the wife made some pizza. So I drank some water, sipped on some Powerade, and ate some pizza, and it went away. But I gotta say, the Still Reserve, you handle that shit with care and respect, because if you drink too much of it, yeah, he'll show you a good time, but he'll show you why the great time quickly turned into a not so great time.
Steel Reserve.
Yeah, if you ever see it in a store, pick it up, buy, and try it and see what you think.
Yeah, uh, Eric Frauenfelder was telling me about ice beers that there, some of them are really good and some of them are horrible. It
Uh
depends
huh.
on the company. Uh,
Yeah, well, I showed you that video where they made an ice bock, but they made a craft beer out of it. Remember, they had like an 8% Dunkel, and then they gave it the ice treatment, and then it turned into like an 11%, 12% beer. But you know, it turned out pretty good. It made it strong and stout. That was in a craft style though.
yeah. What does in German? What does Doppelbock mean?
Doppelbock or Doppelbock means it's a double bock. So you have your regular bock, then you have your Doppelbocks. Um, Doppelbock is just the same thing. It's just more strong and more powerful. Um, what we could equate that to over here would be a bock would be a like an ice beer or a regular malt liquor. So something that's like 5 to 6%, maybe 6.5%, but your double box are going to be like the 7% and
Oh,
on up.
that's like saying double or imperial IPA
Yeah,
at
basically.
8%. Um, yeah, or it could be an imperial stout. You know,
Right.
I think they would. They add more malt, higher concentration of malt to bring up the alcohol content.
Well, malt is a sugar and also grains are sugars. So, you have what's called gravity in beer. That's why Still Reserve, although it's technically a high gravity malt liquor, it calls itself a high gravity lager. So what you do is you have your initial gravity reading before you begin the fermentation. So that's when you add in all your malt, all your sugars, and your hops and the wort before it becomes unfermented beer. And they have this device that you put in a sample of the brew. Then you have your first gravity reading. The first gravity reading shows what the potential for the sugars to convert into alcohol will be. Now, at first, it'll be really high, especially if you have a lot of malt and sugars and you have hops. So
Right.
that'll be your potential yield. Now, whether it'll actually go to that, we'll have to see. So once you take that reading, you write it down or you just jot that down for reference. Then you add in your yeast and you begin your fermentation. Now, once the yeast fully ferments and the fermentation period is done, you take the next sample of that. Then you do your second gravity reading. And it shows how much of the fermentable sugars actually turned into alcohol. So you take your first reading minus your second reading, and then you put it in the middle, and then that's your final alcohol by volume. So, for example, let's say you have a gravity reading of like 1 point something or another, but your last gravity reading is like 1.0 something or another. So you take the two together. There you go. That's your final alcohol by volume.
Yeah. Now, when they make something like Sapporo Black, which they call a black lager, they're probably making it under lager recipe rules, cool temperature. What is it? The bottom fermenting.
Yes,
Bottom fermenting, cool temperature, but they're probably using roasted barley
they are. Yeah.
to give it the darkness. Okay.
Right. The color of beer comes from the malt and it comes from the grains. So if you want a dark beer, you're going to have dark malt. Now, that's where you get your color and your appearance of beer is from the malt. Now, the appearance of beer also comes from yeast and hops as well. Um, if, like I'd say, in the brewing process or in the fermentation, they don't filter it, then you'll have malt chunks, you'll have yeast chunks, you'll have hop chunks, or you'll have like sediment in the beer, and it'll give the beer like a hazy appearance. So it all just depends. Now, there's a lot of malt and a lot of hop varieties out there to where whatever flavor you want in your beer, you don't have to add in like let's say you could add in real chocolate, you could add in like real caramel or real honey or real peanut butter or real coffee, or if we're going for more of a fruity beer, where you add in like real orange peels or like real raspberries or things like
Yeah.
that.
Or
You can
holiday stouts would have like pumpkin pie spice, like cloves, cinnamon, things like that.
right. You got to find that right malt combination, that right hop combination, and also the right yeast because there's different yeast strains as well. Yeah, there's ale yeast and there's lager yeast, but there's different strains of those two yeasts. So you got to find that right one because some, like the Belgian style beers, they use this weird yeast and it gives it almost like a banana note. And it's just like,
Huh.
banana note? What?
Jeez. Now, how are the red ales made? Like Killian's Irish Red. When you see a reddish, is that like a specific malt that is used to make red beer?
Yes. So a red beer is between what you would call a golden appearance and a caramel appearance. It's like right in the middle. So it's it's going to be more roasted than like I'd say a dark gold color, but it's not going to be to the point where it's like a caramel color. It's going to be just before it turns into a caramel color. Um I would say that it's going to be like a light to medium roast of the malt to give it that red color.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah. So yeah, because the sugar in malt is called maltose. Maltose.
Hmm.
Anything that ends in OSC, fructose is general fruit sugar. Maltose. Milk has lactose. So this is well, sugar is scientifically sugar is sugar. You know, uh, um, it all becomes glucose in the bloodstream, and either it's burnt off or it's stored as fat.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're really overdoing it with all these crazy flavors. They really are. I mean, are they making a fruit punch or a beer with all these wacko flavored craft beers? Now, I'm a big fan of craft beer, but not to put crazy ass additives, to give it a fruity flavor. I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, orange or lemon rind is okay. I mean, putting cinnamon and pumpkin pie spices in a stout is okay. Pumpkin beer, pumpkin ales, and pumpkin beer is fine. But there's a lot of crazy additives that they're using now. Pretty soon, these autumn beers will be all around. You told me in Tennessee they already have them out.
Yep, we've got Oktoberfest beer starting, and Sam Adams, yeah, they've got their Oktoberfest beer out, but they came out with the pumpkin ale this year. It's I think it's called like Jack O' Lantern Pumpkin Ale or something like that, and we've got it in the create your own 6-pack where you can get a single, and I think they also sell them in 6-packs as well. They'll probably be in the variety 12-pack this year. I would honestly say they probably will. It's not a very high alcohol brew. I think it's only like 4.4 or 4.5%, and the IBU is very low. I think the IBU is only like 8.
Well, that one I brought to Wildcard Wednesday last year was Pump King. And I'm gonna see if I can find it. It was an Imperial Pumpkin Ale or Stout. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. It was a jack-o'-lantern with a crown on its head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish Sam Adams would come back with the variety packs where they have like 6 different beers rather than just 4, because I think it was the fall variety of 2017. They had like 2 of every beer, but you had 6 different ones. They had, of course, they give the staple Boston Lager. They had an Oktoberfest. They had a pumpkin lager and a pumpkin ale. Then they had this really weird one, which was just, I thought it was nasty. It was a honey rye pale ale,
Okay.
and it was nasty.
There we go. Oh, they have quite a website. It's really cool. There's the Pumpkin Imperial Ale, and they have all kinds of very Halloweeny looking. They have videos promoting it. They have this logo that I'm going to save because it looks pretty good. Pumpkin, long live the king. Let's see. Southern Tier Pumpkin Rule On. They have, let's see, ABV 8.6%. Available August through October. Color deep copper. Serving temperature 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Flavor malty sweetness, vanilla, clove, allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, pie crust, medium light body. Moderate is 30 IBUs, and fermentation. Ale, yeast, 2 varieties of hops, 2 varieties of malts, pumpkin, and spices. And they have one called Warlock Imperial Stout. Interesting. Warlock Imperial Stout. Let me check this. Let me check this out.
Yeah, when the new stimulus comes out, I found some car parts that I meant to put on a car that I had once before. I found these catalytic converters to put on my car, and I was like, I should sell these because where I've got this Honda Civic, and I can't fit bigger than 2-inch pipe underneath, and these catalytic converters are 2.5-inch inlet and outlet. I'm gonna sell them. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a 2-inch high flow catalytic converter with the inlet and outlet, and then I'm gonna take it down there, have them cut out my stock one, put that high flow in, and have them fix my coolant leak, and then I think that's probably all I'm gonna do with my car. I mean, the 7th generation Civics, they kind of look cool as is anyway. So body modifications, you want to just keep to a minimal. I think about the only other thing I might do with this car is I might put in a new stereo system because I love a banging stereo system in a car.
Yeah, you're really doing a great job maintaining this vehicle. I mean,
I
between
mean, I love it. It's a pretty cool car. I mean, does everything I need for it to do. It gets great gas mileage, and the exhaust system I've got on it now sounds pretty good. I mean, I like the noise it makes. I just want more of it.
well, you go in a distance with it because it happens to be a Honda. That's all. If it was an American car, it wouldn't have
Yeah.
it wouldn't have the
And-
longevity. You know.
Yeah, another thing that I'm gonna do is I'm definitely going to get the homebrew kit. I want to go ahead and just start taking a crack at it and see how well I can do in terms of beer brewing. I've already got some recipe ideas for what it is I'm going to make. So I am going to make, different styles of beer. I'm not going to do a wheat beer because I just don't like wheat beer, but all the others, I'm going to do at least one of every style. I'm going to have a light beer, a regular beer, an ice beer, some malt liquors, some IPAs, some stouts. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I was waiting for you to mention that because um, you'll be able to get a really great beer kit. Don't get a like a little amateur's rinky dink beer kit. Get a decent one. You know, and then
well, I could definitely say this. I'm not going to use extracts. I'm going to use the real deal. I'm going to use real malt, real hops, and real yeast. No extracts.
good for you. You're going to do it old world style.
Hmm.
You're going to start off learning how to make real beers and ales and stouts, and who knows, you might even make your own malt liquor.
Yeah. Well, the first malt liquor that I'm going to do is I'm going to try an ale style malt liquor. So I'm going to do a malt liquor that is going to do better as it warms as compared to drinking it ice cold. So I'm going to try that first. I am going to do a lager probably after about my third or fourth try. I was thinking about doing it first, but uh, let's try just a basic ale because it does take a little bit more skill and a little bit more craftsmanship to do a lager, but not too much. I at least just want to get the basics down because an ale, as long as you do the warm fermentation and you keep it at that right temperature, it'll be just fine. They're more the low maintenance, so I at least just want to get the basics and the low maintenance down first before I start
Yeah, because
going up.
if you make the lager, then you got to worry about temperature.
Uh huh.
You have to have the room and the facility to keep it cold. I mean,
Hmm.
but the ales and I believe stouts and porters can be all three can be made at warmer temperatures.
They can. Ideal fermentation for an ale, if it's brewed at a little bit of a higher temperature in terms of brewing, but for storage, if you keep it right at about 65 to 70 degrees fermentation, you'll get a really nice sweet ale. So you'll get the sweetness, you'll get the breadiness, and you'll get a good hop bitterness from it as well.
The Wolf's Den Brewery or Damien Wolf's Den or something like that.
Well, I still have my mindset on the Wolf's Den or the Wolf's Lair, but it could be something different. I could do the Dissenter Den or
Or just the Dissenter Brewery. Dissenter,
or the yeah,
Damien's
I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
Damien's Dissenter Brewery. Interesting.
Yeah, and I would not get bought out. I would still remain a verified independent craft brewery. So
Yeah, and I'm sure you can. Are there any artesian wells or mountain springs in your region where you can get water without having to buy or filter your own water? Just go to a spring.
Uh, there are some streams and there are some creeks around here, but where we're out here in the countryside, who knows what can be in that water?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're better off just getting well, you could use a good filtration system like Zero, or you can get a reverse osmosis, uh,
Yeah,
electronic reverse osmosis machine where you have it hooked up the canteen it's like it kind of looks like an office water dispenser, and you have it hooked up to the plumbing. Cold water constantly goes into the machine. It does reverse osmosis. That's how Aquafina and all those companies, the Santi, they're not springs. They're reverse osmosis. But from what I understand, you could take water from the Ganges River and make it absolutely pure. You know,
yeah, yeah, you can.
and good water has a lot to do with good beer. I mean, or coffee or tea.
Yeah, but the big thing is, where we're still on city water out here, um, there's something that they put in it that makes it to where we have hard water out here.
Oh, really? Because we have hard water here too. I get a white film in the bathtub after I take a shower. It's like all over the faucet. This white powdery, like a baby powder. So we must have
Yeah,
hard water here.
yep, we got hard water here too.
I know Florida, South Florida, the water smells like sulfuric rotten eggs. That sulfuric
Ugh.
smell. Yeah, it's like really. I used to joke and say, where do they get their tap water from down here? The Everglades. It has like a really horrible sulfuric, just like rotten eggs. Uh,
Hmm.
then in that case, you definitely need filtration. Um, like the water, I used to have Brita, but this costs a little more, but they're worth it. It's like 99.9% of the solids are filtered out.
Hmm. Uh,
Zero, zero.
yeah, I've seen them. Well, we're just really big water drinkers here in the house. We just buy the bottled water.
Yeah, but plus, like, let's say your wife wants to make tea or coffee or something. You want to use good water when you make that. You know.
Yeah. So the first beer that I'm gonna try to brew is it's gonna be called Blazing Jesters Malt Liquor. No,
Lazy.
Blazing Jesters Twisted Malt Liquor, and I've already got a story for it. Based on a cruel, sick joke, this malt liquor will appeal to the traditional malt liquor drinker and the craft beer connoisseur,
Oh,
using complex malt and hop varieties as well as extra honey added in to give it a more or a more robust, rich sweetness. Complex hop varieties to come in to balance out the sweetness to still give a good crisp hop bitterness, and the perfect yeast strain to give it the ideal fermentation for high ABV and also to give a delicate breadiness to the beer.
Yeah, and you can have a demented court jester with an evil clown face and a
Mhm.
hat. You know,
Yep.
like the Joker on the deck of cards.
Yeah, and I've already laid out how this beer is going to look. So it's going to be a very deep, dark gold color. So we're going to use different malts, but I don't want it too sweet. I want it sweet, but I don't want it too sweet. So I'm going to find the ideal hop balance for that. And for the hops, we want something that's going to be rich and robust in terms of giving it a good bitterness, but we don't want to take on a lot of like exotic fruit flavors with the hops. We just want it there for balancing and to give a nice hop presentation. Now, I do want to use real honey to try to, kind of give it a little bit more of a delicate sweetness and more of a sweet or robust, full sweet flavor. But also, if I use real honey in the brewing process, that could also give it a little bit more of a darker color than what I'm looking for. For IBU, this is going to be definitely sweet but very hoppy. So I'm thinking like an 8% for alcohol and probably 45 IBUs for bitterness. So rich and sweet, but also very robust and hoppy.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. Are there any hop farms in either Virginia or Tennessee where you can get your hops
Uh,
locally?
to my knowledge, no.
You might have to go north of Tennessee, maybe.
Well, I know there's this like a homebrew supply store, and they have quite a bit of what I'm looking for. Um, the main thing I'm trying to go for here is I know in my mind how I want to do this and how I want it to look. There's just one problem that I'm going to run into, and that is filtering the beers. That way, I get the sediment out, but I don't want to strip the flavor
Hmm.
by filtering.
Now, do you have enough land to plant different varieties of hops? Because I think they grow on vines.
Not really. The wife and I, we tried our shot at gardening, and it just did not work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be able to do a little internet searching for hop farms in your neck of the woods, and you might get lucky. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up,
All
and
right.
I'll see you down yonder on the phone. Thank you, everyone, for viewing.
Yep.
Those that will view after the show is off the air. Take care and be safe. Bye bye.
All right. I will. Bye bye.